I wanted to do some vinyl cuts, so I thought I'd have a look at the patterns which are actually on my SDX 1200. So I have already done one of these, but I thought I'd point something out to you. Now the one that I'm actually going to be playing around with is this monkey. So if I tap on that, it's really difficult to do this when I've got my camera in front there, and I click on OK. Now, because I'm doing a vinyl cut and I'm doing it with glitter HTV, I cannot put one layer on top of another. I have to separate them out. And this pattern doesn't give me the options that I want easily. Now, partly because I have my SDX at an angle, because I have to in order to put it anywhere to cut, it's not really convenient for me to use the screen all the time. I want to do it on my laptop. So if I pick that one and go to OK, click on set, now I get the option to save it. So I want to send it to my laptop. And if I tap save to USB, it just says saved. That's it. It doesn't say anything else. But if I tap on this one, it says includes a grouped pattern on the mat. Cannot ungroup the pattern once you save the pattern. Okay, so if you're going to put this into Canvas software, you can't ungroup it. However, I don't use Canvas, I use shortcuts a lot, and yes, you can. This is what you get if you import the FCM directly into Shortcut Slot. And you can see I've got my pieces separated out here, so I'll just briefly show you how I did this. So first of all, I prefer my cut lines to be in black rather than a grey, and then I want to take the colour out, so I just did that. Now if I wanted to, I could have gone up to view and then choose the lines only, but that's generally not the way I do it. Now you can see on this particular piece that this face line here is much darker, and that indicates that there is two lines there. So I'm going to select this, I'm going to break it apart, I'm going to click and drag one of those out. Now if I'd been mistaken, all I need to do is press the undo button. That is something that I really miss when I'm doing something on the machine. On the odd occasion when I do, if I, for example, delete the wrong bit, you can't undo it. That's really irritating. Okay, so get rid of that one. Now the next thing is I want to put some registration marks on. Registration marks just being a couple of little rectangles, which will enable me to line everything up as it should be lined up. So just put a couple of marks, and it doesn't really make much difference where they are. If you want to line them up so that they are on the same plane, that's fine. Just grab both of those like that, go over to the right hand side and make them on the same line. There we are. So now what I do is I select the entire lot and go to Object and go to Duplicate. And then you can duplicate the number of pieces that you are, or the number of colours that you want to cut out. So in this particular case, it's actually only 3, so I will just do 3. And I'm going to space them out a bit more because they're a bit close together. So, whoops, wrong way. There we go. There. And I don't want to group them all because they're individual. So now you can see how I get this, which is simply going to cut out the dark surrounding hair of the monkey, because all I have to do is remove the bits that I do not want, which is that. There we go. Actually, I removed the face as well, but never mind. Let's undo that and undo again. There we go. All I need to do is take out that bit there. Okay, and delete. So that's how I got that one there. Now you notice on this one, I have the nose and the mouth all in one, and that's because I chose to do it that way. I don't think I'm that fussed about having a pink nose as opposed to a brown mouth or something like that. So I'm going to have it the same colour and it might as well be all in one piece. So in order to do that, all I do is select all that lot, go to path and then union, and there it is. Now, because I've done that on this one, what I'm going to do is use that for those particular features, so I can just drag away the other bits that I do not want. I want those bits, but I don't want the outside bits, so get rid of that. Chuck those in the bin. Now the important thing is, when you've done this, to group the lot, including the registration marks. Now this design is pretty simple, and the chances are I could match it up whether I put registration marks or not. But on some designs they are a little more complicated, and it's difficult to judge when you're looking at something from the reverse as to whether you have it in the right place. So the registration marks are quite an important piece to do, but this is how you do it if you need to separate them in shortcuts a lot. So I have my 3 pieces here, all beaded already, and they're very, very easy to line up. Now I chose not to put the registration marks on mine simply because I don't have that much of the glitter vinyl and I didn't want to waste it. So since this is a relatively simple design, when you iron it on, you iron on one of the bigger pieces first. So you could iron on this one first, or you could iron on that one. Doesn't make too much difference. And then you simply line up the next one. You could, if you wanted to, start off with the small one and then line up that and then iron that one on. Now sadly I had to do that in a orangey colour because I discovered I didn't have any brown, which I thought I had, but I don't. But that's the monkey design from the SDX 1200. I don't know which other machines it happens to be on, but it does make for a nice, easy vinyl project. Now the other thing that I would say is that because I do mostly paper design and I'm cutting card and plastics, etc., etc., what I did for this was I changed out my blade for the fabric blade because I don't use fabric on my machine generally. And I noticed, and it was quite obvious because I've not used that blade before for anything. I did one tiny little test cut of vinyl with it months ago, but I haven't actually used that blade properly. And I noticed that I put it on the auto setting on the half cut auto, and that was absolutely perfect for cutting this out. Whereas the other blade that I've got, the replacement blade for my normal auto blade, when I started using that one, when my other one was discarded, I had to put that right down to something like -8 or -9. And I come to the conclusion the blades are not very well manufactured if there's that much of a discrepancy. Same material, same mat. When I first got the machine, I just put it on auto and it was perfect for everything. When I got the new blade, which theoretically should be the same, I had to put it on -9 or -8, forget which it was. So those blades are not created equal. Interesting, eh? Anyway, the fabric blade did a reasonable job of this, and 2 reasons why I used it, partly because the other blade is probably a little bit dull by now. It's had probably nearly 6 months use, and the other reason is the fabric blade is a different type of blade. It's more suited to cutting very thin materials, and of course mine was going to be super sharp because I hadn't used it for anything else. So if you're not going to use your fabric blade and you don't want to bother buying a detail vinyl blade, have a go with the fabric one and see what results you get. Decided to cut out the fairy that's on my machine, and I happen to have a particularly pretty looking glitter vinyl, but it's absolutely awful to weed if you can't see the lines, so I'm actually using a light box to do my weeding. Now one little tip, designs like this where, for example, you've got little circles, little stars, don't throw those away. You can actually iron those onto your cards if you're a card maker, or you know, if you are only doing vinyl projects for things like t-shirts and stuff like that with HTV normally, you can still keep them to one side and use them as little extras to whatever else you've cut out. And you can save, even these little pieces, you can save to cut out tiny little pieces to go on your cards. Don't waste it. It costs quite a lot of money. Don't waste it. So this is the fairy, and I don't know if you can actually see the sparkle, but that's going to look so pretty on a t-shirt. I'm enjoying doing this. I don't often cut vinyl. I'm on my iPad again today and I'm using Procreate. Now, in case you're not familiar, Procreate is a fully functioning art app. It's extremely good, very, very useful if you're into cutting electronically, as well as if you're into general art. Now, I have an image here which I have imported from my photos. It is one that I picked up from Pixabay. And as you can see, it's a really fun picture of a lion. Now, I thought this would make a really good HTV vinyl transfer for my granddaughter for a t-shirt or whatever. If you were doing a normal piece of vinyl that wasn't glitter vinyl, and my HTV is all glitter, you could actually stack layer upon layer and it wouldn't be a problem. But if you need to do the individual layers as cutouts, this is an easy way of doing it. Now, I did, just to see what the effect would be, I did actually put it into ScanCut slot and tried doing a similar thing. It wasn't quite as easy as this is though, so I thought I would show you how easy, how simple this is to do. So the first thing I want to do is to check my drawing and see if there's anything that I will have difficulty cutting, even if it's traced. And what springs to mind are the ears, because those are a very fine line, and the whiskers and the mouth area. So I can go into my brushes and I'm just going to use a very standard monoline brush, tap on my colours, and I'm just going to pick up a black. And all I'm going to do is to draw directly over these pieces. Oops, didn't do very well there, did I? So I'll undo there. And there we go. I just need to take my glasses off. That's fine. Not quite straight, but you get the gist. Now I need to do the whiskers. Now in Procreate, if you want a straight line, just keep it held down and it will go perfectly straight. Whiskers are not very likely to be perfectly straight. So that would be what I want to do. Now the next thing I notice is there is a line here between the body and the tail. And if I was going to be cutting this in HTV, I really don't want that line to be there. So the easiest thing to do is to draw over it in the same colour. Now to pick up the same colour with the system that I've got, my preference is I hold that down and I tap on there. There we go, picked up. Now let's undo that. I've picked up this colour and I can simply go over there like that and get rid of that line. So now my drawing is pretty much as I would want to cut it. And if you look here, I've still got the one layer. Okay. So now I come back to my little ribbon thing and I select that, like that, copy and paste, switch that off, go there, and I've got my single layer to cut out. So very, very simple. The next thing I want to do is tap on this again and go for the yellow. So I would have that, and I would have that, except for the fact I'm getting the background. Now the reason I get in the background is because I have got paths which are open. Now there's a very good way of getting around this. What you do is you take this layer here, you tap on it, and you put an alpha lock on. Now the alpha lock means basically that if I draw in this area, it won't do anything. It locks to just the image that I have. So if I pick this up now, I get that, and that. Copy and paste, switch that off, oops, and you can see I've got the next layer. So this is really nice and easy, isn't it? Back to this one again, do my selection, and this time I'm going to go for the black things. To pick up all the black bits that I want, so the eyes, the nose, the mouth, the whiskers and the ears, what I want to do is to slide my selection percentage, my selection threshold, down to a pretty low selection. Let's take that off. Now, make sure I'm on the correct layer, which I am. Go into here and tap on each of these things to select. There we go. And do the copy and paste. Switch that off. We go into there and you see we've got the face from the selection. So now that you've actually got this, you can do your exporting. You can export each individual layer, or you can select as many layers as you want to export at one time. Okay, that is it for the moment. I can't show you the finished project because I'm literally going to send these to my daughter-in-law for my granddaughter. And in case you thought I was being a bit of a skinflint not sending the t-shirts, the reason for that is because since the UK has left the EU, customs and excise are having great fun, as indeed are the courier companies and the postal service, when everything is posted. People are getting billed for things which they should not be billed for. Okay, I'll see you again soon. Take care now.